The 5 kings. It wasn't long before My-Master-Zedek king of Jerusalem heard that Joshua had taken Ai and destroyed it and its king under a holy curse, just as he had done to Jericho and its king. He also learned that the people of Gibeon had come to terms with Israel and were living as neighbors. He and his people were alarmed. Gibeon was a big city, as big as any with a king and bigger than Ai, and all its men were seasoned fighters. Adoni-Zedek king of Jerusalem sent word to Hoham king of Hebron, Piram king of Jarmuth, Japhia king of Lachish, and Debir king of Eglon, "Come and help me. Let's attack Gibeon." They've joined up with Joshua and the people of Israel. So the 5 Amorite, western, kings, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, and the king of Eglon, combined their armies and set out to attack Gibeon. The men of Gibeon sent word to Joshua camped at Gilgal, "Don't let us down now. Come up here quickly. Save us. Help us. All the Amorite kings who live up in the hills have ganged up on us." So Joshua set out from Gilgal, his whole army with him, all those tough soldiers. God told him, "Don't give them a second thought. I put them under your thumb, not one of them will stand up to you." Joshua marched all night from Gilgal and took them by total surprise. God threw them into total confusion before Israel, a major victory at Gibeon. Israel chased them along the ridge to Beth Horon and fought them all the way down to Azekah and Makkedah. As they ran from the people of Israel, down from the Beth Horon ridge and all the way to Azekah, God pitched huge stones on them out of the sky and many died. More died from the hailstones than the people of Israel killed with the sword. The day God gave the Amorites up to Israel, Joshua spoke to God, with all Israel listening, "Stop, sun, over Gibeon, halt, moon, over Aijalon Valley." And sun stopped, moon stood stock still until he defeated his enemies. You can find this written in the Book of Jashar. The sun stopped in its tracks in mid-sky, just sat there all day. There's never been a day like that before or since. God took orders from a human voice. Truly, God fought for Israel. Then Joshua returned, all Israel with him, to the camp at Gilgal. Meanwhile the 5 kings had hidden in the cave at Makkedah. Joshua was told, "The 5 kings have been found, hidden in the cave at Makkedah." Joshua said, "Roll big stones against the mouth of the cave and post guards to keep watch. But don't you hang around, go after your enemies. Cut off their retreat. Don't let them back into their cities. God has given them to you." Joshua and the people of Israel then finished them off, total devastation. Only a few got away to the fortified towns. The whole army then returned intact to the camp and to Joshua at Makkedah. There was no criticism that day from the people of Israel. Then Joshua said, "Open the mouth of the cave and bring me those 5 kings." They did it. They brought him the 5 kings from the cave, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, and the king of Eglon. When they had them all there in front of Joshua, he called up the army and told the field commanders who had been with him, "Come here. Put your feet on the necks of these kings." They stepped up and put their feet on their necks. Joshua told them, "Don't hold back. Don't be timid. Be strong. Be confident. This is what God will do to all your enemies when you fight them." Then Joshua struck and killed the kings. He hung them on 5 trees where they remained until evening. At sunset Joshua gave the command. They took them down from the trees and threw them into the cave where they had hidden. They put large stones at the mouth of the cave. The kings are still in there. No survivors. That same day Joshua captured Makkedah, a massacre that included the king. He carried out the holy curse. No survivors. Makkedah's king got the same treatment as Jericho's king. Joshua, all Israel with him, moved on from Makkedah to Libnah and fought against Libnah. God gave Libnah to Israel. They captured city and king and massacred the lot. No survivors. Libnah's king got the same treatment as Jericho's king. Joshua, all Israel with him, moved on from Libnah to Lachish. He set up camp nearby and attacked. God gave Lachish to Israel. Israel took it in 2 days and killed everyone. He carried out the holy curse, the same as with Libnah. Hoham, king of Gezer, arrived to help Lachish. Joshua attacked him and his army until there was nothing left of them. No survivors. Joshua, all Israel with him, moved on from Lachish to Eglon. They set up camp and attacked. They captured it and killed everyone, carrying out the holy curse, the same as they had done with Lachish. Joshua, all Israel with him, went up from Eglon to Hebron. He attacked and captured it. They killed everyone, including its king, its villages, and their people. No survivors, the same as with Eglon. They carried out the holy curse on city and people. Then Joshua, all Israel with him, turned toward Debir and attacked it. He captured it, its king, and its villages. They killed everyone. They put everyone and everything under the holy curse. No survivors. Debir and its king got the same treatment as Hebron and its king, and Libnah and its king. Joshua took the whole country, hills, desert, foothills, and mountain slopes, including all kings. He left no survivors. He carried out the holy curse on everything that breathed, just as God, the God of Israel, had commanded. Joshua's conquests stretched from Kadesh Barnea to Gaza and from the entire region of Goshen to Gibeon. Joshua took all these kings and their lands in a single campaign because God, the God of Israel, fought for Israel. Then Joshua, all Israel with him, went back to the camp at Gilgal. When Gibeon king of Hazor heard of all this, he sent word to Jobab king of Madon, to the king of Shimron, to the king of Akshaph, to all the kings in the northern mountains, to the kings in the valley south of Kinnereth, to the kings in the western foothills and Naphat Dor, to the Canaanites both east and west, to the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, and Jebusites in the hill country, and to the Hivites below Hermon in the region of Mizpah. They came out in full force, all their troops massed together, a huge army, in number like sand on an ocean beach, to say nothing of all the horses and chariots. All these kings met and set up camp together at the waters of Merom, ready to fight against Israel. God said to Joshua, "Don't worry about them. This time tomorrow I'll hand them over to Israel, all dead. You'll hamstring their horses. You'll set fire to their chariots." Joshua, his entire army with him, took them by surprise, falling on them at the waters of Merom. God gave them to Israel, who struck and chased them all the way to Greater Sidon, to Misrephoth-Maim, and then to the valley of Mizpah on the east. No survivors. Joshua treated them following God's instructions, he hamstrung their horses, he burned up their chariots. Then Joshua came back and took Hazor, killing its king. Early on Hazor had been head of all these kingdoms. They killed every person there, carrying out the holy curse, not a breath of life left anywhere. Then he burned down Hazor. Joshua captured and massacred all the royal towns with their kings, the holy curse commanded by Moses the servant of God. But Israel didn't burn the cities that were built on mounds, except for Hazor. Joshua did burn down Hazor. The people of Israel plundered all the loot, including the cattle, from these towns for themselves. But they killed the people, total destruction. They left nothing human that breathed. Just as God commanded his servant Moses, so Moses commanded Joshua, and Joshua did it. He didn't leave incomplete one thing that God had commanded Moses. Joshua took the whole country, the mountains, the southern desert, all of Goshen, the foothills, the valley, the Arabah, and the Israel mountains with their foothills, from Mount Halak, which towers over the region of Seir, all the way to Baal-Gad in the valley of Lebanon in the shadows of Mount Hermon. He captured their kings and then killed them. Joshua fought against these kings for a long time. Not one town made peace with the people of Israel, with the one exception of the Hivites who lived in Gibeon. Israel fought and took all the rest. It was God's idea that they all would stubbornly fight the Israelites so he could put them under the holy curse without mercy. That way he could destroy them just as God had commanded Moses. Joshua came out at that time also to root out the Anakim from the hills, from Hebron, from Debir, from Anab, from the mountains of Judah, from the mountains of Israel. Joshua carried out the holy curse on them and their cities. No Anakim were left in the land of the people of Israel, except in Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod. There were a few left there. Joshua took the whole region. He did everything that God had told Moses. Then he parceled it out as an inheritance to Israel according to their tribes. And Israel had rest from war. The defeated kings. These are the kings that the people of Israel defeated and whose land they took on the east of the Jordan, from the Arnon Gorge to Mount Hermon, with the whole eastern side of the Arabah Valley. Sihon king of the Amorites, who reigned from Heshbon, his rule extended from Aroer, which sits at the edge of the Arnon Gorge, from the middle of the gorge and over half of Gilead to the gorge of the Jabbok River, which is the border of the Ammonites. His rule included the eastern Arabah Valley from the Sea of Kinnereth to the Arabah Sea, the Salt Sea, eastward toward Beth Shemoth and southward to the slopes of Pisgah. And Og king of Bashan, one of the last of the Rephaim who reigned from Ashtarot and Edrei, his rule extended from Mount Hermon and Salcah over the whole of Bashan to the border of the Geshurites and the Maacathites, the other half of Gilead, to the border of Sihon king of Heshbon. Moses the servant of God and the people of Israel defeated them. And Moses the servant of God gave this land as an inheritance to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and half of the tribe of Manasseh. And these are the kings of the land that Joshua and the people of Israel defeated in the country west of the Jordan, from Baal-Gad in the valley of Lebanon south to Mount Halak, which towers over Seir. Joshua gave this land to the tribes of Israel as a possession, according to their divisions, lands in the mountains, the western foothills, and the Arabah valley, on the slopes, and in the wilderness and the Negev desert, lands on which Hittites, Amorites, and Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites had lived. The kings were, the king of Jericho won the king of Ai, near Bethel. Won the king of Jerusalem won the king of Hebron won the king of Jarmuth won the king of Lachish won the king of Eglon won the king of Gezer won the king of Debir won the king of Gedor won the king of Hormah won the king of Arad won the king of Libnah won the king of Adullam won the king of Makkedah won the king of Bethel won the king of Tapwah won the king of Hepher won the king of Aphek won the king of Lasharon won the king of Medan won the king of Hazor won the king of Shimron Meron won the king of Akshaph won the king of Tanach won the king of Megiddo won the king of Kadesh won the king of Joniam in Carmel won the king of Dor, Naphat Dor, won the king of Goyim in Gilgal won the king of Tirzah won a total of 31 kings.